Hey, my name is Caitlyn, and I want to take a few minutes just to share with you about the awesome things God has done and is doing in my life. When I was 4 years old, I went to a play called The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever. And when Imogene Herdman realized she was holding baby Jesus, I yelled out, "Holy buckets," which of course attracted the attention of the entire auditorium. But from that moment when Jesus changed Imogene's life, he began to change mine and hasn't stopped since then. Now, my story, you aren't going to hear any breathtaking stories about how I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior, but that doesn't mean I haven't had my own struggles or walls that God has had to take down. I was born and raised in the church, and my faith is growing every day as I grow. I was baptized where my parents made a promise to raise me in the church, teach me about Jesus, and help me grow in my faith. Even though I enjoyed a whole ton of it, it was still something they made me do. And yeah, things happened while I was growing up, but I'm going to skip to the part where I really had the chance to make my own decisions about my future. So let's fast forward to my senior year of high school when I had to make one of the biggest decisions of my life up until that point. Where was I going to go to school? That was a huge decision, and I was terrified. Number one, where the heck was I going to go? And number two, what in the world was I going to do once I got there? I chose lacrosse. Up until college, my parents definitely had an influence on the decisions I made. But then I was off to college, and it was time to make my own decisions, and I was nervous. Thankfully, God proved His faithfulness by putting great friends in my life right from the start. He threw campus crusades into my schedule, and of course, He allowed a lot of time for me to play intramurals. But I was still left trying to figure out what was in store for that big world called my future. That was a scary word for me, and I was trying to control it. I was a first-year athletic training student trying to get into the program, and I was convinced that my world would come crashing down if in April I got a letter saying, "Thanks for all your hard work this year, but we really don't think you're good enough for our program." All that got me was a boatload of stress and still no answers as to what my plan was if I made it in or what my plans were going to be if I got the boot. There was my mistake. I'm saying my plan. I continued battling my future for so long until one discussion happened during my sophomore year. I was talking with my youth director about working a summer camp. I wanted to work for YouthWorks, but at the same time, I was making up all these excuses why I shouldn't. The conversation went a little bit like this. So I want to work for YouthWorks, but maybe I should wait until next summer and just work a summer camp close to home so I can go to my best friend's graduation. Wait, then my sister will be graduating the next year, so maybe I'll just wait until after I graduate. But then I'll probably have to get a job, so in mid-sentence he stopped me and said, "Caitlyn, there will always be something." And I thought, always something. So the next week I applied for YouthWorks and sat down and prayed that God would use me where He wanted me that summer. That was the first time I had ever asked God to use me where He wanted me, instead of just asking for His help in what I wanted to do. So it was May, and I was off to YouthWorks and had a life-changing summer. Then came August, and I had felt this huge calling into youth ministries. And here I was, trying to retake control of my future. I wanted so badly to quit athletic training so I could just go and work as a youth director at the first church that wanted me. A friend was asking me before I headed back to lacrosse what I was excited about and what I was nervous about. And I straight up told him I was not excited and I did not want to go back to school. He knew it was because I was torn between athletic training and youth ministries, and he had one sentence that again made me stop and think. He said, "You need to have more patience in God's plan. Go get your degree and things will unfold." That conversation happened this past August, right before school started. So there you go. I've known Jesus almost my entire life and have been pursuing a relationship with Him for a long time, and I'm nowhere near perfect. But let me tell you a little bit about what God has done to get me excited about being back in lacrosse. I'm currently teaching 6th grade Sunday school and loving it. I am working with high schoolers through Cru High School, and hopefully in the near future I will be helping out at the high school youth group through the church I go to. And I can still fit all of that in with my crazy athletic training schedule, which I still absolutely love. It's been a big step to learn to let go and let God take control. But every day, God shows more and more of His faithfulness, and I get more and more comfortable with the fact that God does have a plan for my life, and all I need to do is be still and know. I still have a huge passion for both athletic training and youth ministries, but I am confident that in the next couple of years, He will provide an awesome opportunity in one field or the other, or maybe even both at the same time. And on those days when I do get frustrated or stressed about it, the verse Jeremiah 29:11 comes to mind. And that is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future." That right there tells me that I'm going to be okay wherever the Lord wants me to be. And on top of that, I believe it with all my heart. Thanks for listening, guys.